The first time I felt fear, it wasn't when a human screamed. It was when they stopped screaming and stood up instead. The orbital sky above Earth burned violet as the car Dominion's fleet slid out of hyperspace, blotting out the sun with geometry that hurt to look at. Cities went dark in waves. Oceans rippled as if something massive had inhaled. I watched from the observation ring of Concord Station, an alien emissary assigned to witness humanity's formal compliance. That was a plan. But plans have a way of dying first. I am Zyron of the Ilari Continuum. My species evolved without fear. Our nervous systems never learned it. Our history never acquired it. We calculate. We adapt. We survive. Fear was a word humans used when logic failed them. At least, that's what I believed, right up until the moment I stood beside them. None of us were prepared for truth. Earth had been marked for integration. That was the CAR word. It meant resource extraction, population thinning, and cultural erasure, all done with sterile efficiency. The Dominion didn't conquer with hatred. They conquered because they could. The Ilari had aligned with them centuries ago, trading neutrality for preservation. I was here to ensure the humans signed the same fate. My human liaison was Commander Mara Vance, Earth Defense Coalition. She had steel-gray eyes and a left hand that shook when she thought no one was looking. She hit it by clenching her fist until the knuckles went white. "They'll demand unconditional surrender," she said, voice steady. "And if we refuse?" I opened my frill in what humans had learned was an apologetic gesture. They will demonstrate inevitability. What I saw next changed everything. The demonstration came early. A car dread form unfolded near Luna, an obsidian lattice kilometers wide, and fired a single coherence lance. The moon didn't explode. That would have been merciful. Instead, a clean slice vaporized merimbrium, a glowing wound visible from Earth's surface. Billions watched. The message was clear. Mara didn't look away. She swallowed. That's their low. The car envoy arrived on Concord Station hours later, towering, many-limbed, wrapped in living armor that whispered probabilities. "Comply," it said, not unkindly. "Your resistance curve predicts extinction in 2.3 cycles." I translated. I expected collapse. Instead, Mara stepped forward. "You don't know us." The envoy's mandibles flexed. "We know your numbers." That was only the beginning. In the days that followed, humans did something irrational. They evacuated the obvious targets and fortified the meaningless ones. They leaked false data. They argued loudly in public channels while quietly coordinating in the dark. Their networks became chaos, then a weapon. I observed, cataloging anomalies. Humans grieved openly, then worked anyway. They joked at funerals. They sang in bunkers. They argued about movies while calculating orbital intercepts. None of it made sense. And yet, the car's predictive models began to drift. "Your people are noisy," I told Mara as alarms hummed. She smiled without humor. "That's us thinking." Microhooks followed each day. A captured car probe vanished from a secure lab. A supply convoy jumped to the wrong coordinates, on purpose. A civilian broadcast went viral, showing a farmer on Mars welding armor onto a tractor. But that was only the beginning. At 43% of projected conflict duration, the turning point arrived. The Ilari received a private transmission from the car Dominion. It was addressed to me. "You will withdraw, The envoy said, "Your observation of neutrality is compromised." I understood immediately. I had been standing too close to humans, learning too much. The continuum would not risk Dominion displeasure for a species already marked. Mara found me packing my instruments. "They're pulling you out," she said. "Yes." She nodded. "Figures." There was a pause, one of those human silences heavy with unsaid things. Then she surprised me. "Stay." "I cannot alter interstellar policy," I replied. "And even if I could, not as an emissary," she said, "as a witness." "What you're asking is treason," I said. She leaned closer. "What they're doing is erasure." That was when the second demonstration came. A car strike group dropped into low orbit over Nairobi and began precision annihilation, targeting hospitals first. Not for efficiency, for compliance. I felt something then, a compression in my core, a distortion in my thought lattice, data without context, context without logic. Fear. It was real, and it hurt. What I saw next changed everything. Humans responded not with Counter-Strike, but with a broadcast. Every channel, every frequency. A single image, a line of people, soldiers, medics, engineers, children, standing in open ground beneath the descending shadow of car war forms. No weapons raised. No pleas. Mara's voice carried across the void. "We are here." The car hesitated. Predictive model spiked. This was not on any curve. Then the humans fired, not at the ships, but at the space between them. Hidden platforms unfolded, emitting a field based on an unfinished theory the Ilari had abandoned centuries ago. Probability sheer. It was inefficient, unstable, dangerous. It was human. Car weapons misfired. Dread forms clipped themselves. The sky fractured into impossible angles. The humans didn't win, but they didn't die the way they were supposed to. But that was only the beginning. Loss followed. Terrible loss. Concord Station was hit. Sections vented. I dragged Mara through smoke and screaming metal, my limbs slick with human blood. She laughed once, actually laughed when we reached an airlock. "Guess they didn't see that coming," she said, then collapsed. I stayed with her as medics worked. I told myself it was observational duty. The fear didn't listen. At the lowest point, with Earth bleeding and Mars burning, the car envoy returned. "Cease," it said, voice altered. "Your species exhibits unacceptable unpredictability." Mara stood, pale but unbroken. "That's what freedom looks like." The envoy turned to me. "Ilari, withdraw now." I looked at the human behind her, tired, afraid, defiant. I calculated survival probabilities. Then I made the only decision that felt logical anymore. "No." The envoy recoiled. "You choose extinction." "I choose uncertainty," I said. "With them." What I saw next changed everything. The Ilari continuum broke silence for the first time in centuries. Not with fleets, but with data. We opened archives. Shared forbidden experiments. Admitted our fears. Yes, fears we had never named. Other species followed. The car Dominion found itself facing something it had never encountered. Solidarity. The final confrontation wasn't a battle. It was a standoff stretched across light years. Probabilities knotted by human chaos and alien resolve. The car calculated, recalculated. Then they withdrew. Earth was scarred. The moon bore a wound that would glow for generations. Names were carved into steel and memory. But humanity remained. On the day the last car's signature faded, Mara and I stood on a hillside overlooking a city rebuilding itself from ash and laughter. "You okay?" she asked. I considered the question. Fear still echoed in me. It always would. "Yes," I said. "I think so." She smiled. "Good. Because standing with us means living with it." I watched humans raise walls and gardens in the same breath, mourn and hope without permission. And for the first time in my long, calculated life, I understood why the universe should be afraid. Because when humans stand together, afraid, defiant, and free, they don't just survive. They change everything.